Díagaibh go léir cóide agus tá fáilte ród. Welcome to be my guest with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary and Clare's Wish Foundation. And my lovely guest today is a lady I've been really looking forward to talking to, and that's Fahey, who's the composer and the inspiration behind a new dance and music show called Fáinne. And for anyone who doesn't know, Fáinne is the Irish for ring, and gold is the Irish for gold, or ore is the Irish for gold. So that's the gold ring. Hi, Kathy, how are you?
Hello, Mary. How are you doing? And thanks very much for inviting me on. I'm delighted.
It's my absolute pleasure. I've been dying to interview you for a while now, but tell me, how's COVID working for you? Is it bringing out your creative juices, or has it stifled things?
It took a while. Like, it took about, I'd say, 5 or 6 months of a lockdown before I could even think about being creative, because it's just soul destroying for anybody in the arts world. It's just it's like you get all this opportunity to do everything you ever wanted to do, and all of a sudden, like without warning, it's just gone. And I suppose the awful part about it is it's not even being discussed. The opening up of the arts is not on the agenda at all at the moment. So that's the bit. And
I think I interviewed Red Hurley, and I interviewed Tommy Fleming and Mick Candy. And now, I've interviewed them before, all three of them, and in particular, I was struck by Tommy Fleming, who's normally so outgoing and so glass half full type of person. He still is. Yes. But I was struck by how kind of downbeat he was and so kind of annoyed, quietly annoyed that there wasn't enough being done in the arts to try and get people back, because I don't see any rational reason for the arts, if they can allow rugby, allow soccer, allow contact sports to happen. Why can't they allow people to go, certainly to outdoor performances, have canopies over them, and even to indoor if you're a safe distance away.
I agree. It's not like as if we're all going to join together and try and get COVID. If we were allowed to get together as an orchestra or as a choir, we would be absolutely certain that we weren't near enough to somebody, that we could pick it up easily and take all the precautions that we possibly could. So it's soul destroying, but sure, look, it is what it is. It's nobody's fault. That's the other thing. It's COVID just happened, and that was it.
Yeah, but 11,000 people came in on a flight yesterday into Dublin. And there is no rational rhyme or reason for allowing 7,000 people in unchecked. 1,800 or 1,500 Brazilians into a factory in Cork, 2 factories, unchecked. All they were sent were two text messages each, one in Portuguese and one in English, to tell them when they got to their destination they were to quarantine. And 150 Albanians were allowed into Shannon, who were heading, all PhD students heading for UL. That doesn't make any sense to me when we have the rest of the country in lockdown, not allowed out, not allowed past 5 kilometers. Doesn't make sense.
No, I just think we've kind of lost our way. It was all going very well in the beginning, and everybody was behaving themselves and doing what they were told. And now we just seem to have lost our way. The direction seems to have lost its way. Nobody knows what's allowed and what's
changing. The goalposts keep switching, and people are naturally getting tired of what was to be 10 days, and now suddenly is over a year, going in over a year.
Yeah. I think, Mary, the last announcement this week, the extra 9 weeks, I think that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for a lot of people, because it's just, we've been
It is.
so good and we've been so good and you promised us, and
For
here we
our
are.
children, you promised us
Absolutely.
it was
Yeah.
going to be, and you're still letting in people, and you're still letting out people. And our Taoiseach planned on going, that he even thought of going and handing out shamrock,
Yeah, it's
and
unreal.
had to wait until there was outrage to actually say okay.
Go
And our
back, yeah.
Taoiseach in Turkey with a delegation, and yet we're here in quarantine, and flights 11,000 coming in yesterday.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem. And meanwhile, your career, all our careers are up in a heap.
Yeah, everything's on hold, and it's, I feel sorry for people who are in the position that they're just starting out and they have mortgages and small children. It's not so bad, I suppose, if you have a few years' work behind you, but like, it has to be so difficult. It has to be so difficult. And the other thing as well is, like, how do you ask the likes of me to look for another job? I have a diploma in business studies, but that was years and years ago. I couldn't see myself doing anything else now.
No, but I mean, even in the UK now and here, I mean, the idea of telling people retrain, telling an artist whose whole life is their art.
Mhm.
It's much more than a job. If they never earned a penny out of it, it's the process that they go through.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
drive, it's going out on stage and hearing the roar of the audience and the clap and the
Mhm.
standing ovation, that people live for more than the money.
Absolutely. Yeah, like most artists who are in the entertainment business full time give 110% of themselves to the job. It's not like a 9 to 5 where you close the door behind you and you go home and then you have your other life. You bring it home with you and you eat, drink, and sleep, music, dance, whatever it is you do, because you have to, because it's this
It's a burning desire. It's part of you. It is.
it is.
You. It
Yeah.
is you.
And the other thing as well, Mary, is you don't get paid when you don't work.
No.
It's, my work would be very seasonal, as are a lot of artists, and so there's about 5 months of the year I don't work at all. So you just
And
have
it's the
to.
same with Irish dancing teachers, and that when they're out, that's it. Because in many respects, a lot of, I know when I was teaching, it was all pay as you go. So if you had one child in the class, that you ended up paying for the hall. If 20 turned up, you managed to get half the hall paid for, and you made and then you, by the time you had your petrol paid for. But what got you up and got you out was this passion for what you
Drive,
did.
yeah.
And even people who charge by term or charge annually, they're still not going to get paid while they're out.
No,
And they're
no.
not, and
No, they're not. Yeah.
you
It's
know,
definitely, nobody in this field is in it for the money. That's an absolute certainty.
no,
Because and you cannot be in it if you don't love it. It's not
no.
going to work for you either. So, it's I suppose it's quite niche really, but anyway, it is what
Well,
it
how
is.
did you get involved in music in the first place? I think you were telling me that you were forced into the piano against your wishes.
I was. How long have you got, Mary, now?
All the time you like.
I grew up in Belcara, and I had 4 brothers, and me being the only girl, I suppose I got a lot of the perks of being an only girl, and I was brought to piano lessons in Castlebar, and I was the only person actually in my whole school, never mind my house. And it was lovely and it was great and whatnot, but I hated it because it separated me from everybody else. The boys at home would be watching cartoons on the television, and I'd have to go to that room and practice my piano. So, but I did get to love it though. I did, like, with piano, or I suppose any instrument, once you get past a certain stage, you develop the love for it then. And, once that had happened, I did. So, as a result of that, I was always the one who accompanied singers, dancers, music, for school concerts. church. I suppose when you're the only person in the area, everybody just assumes you're good at it and they'll just ask you to do it. So that went then that was national school, secondary school. I had grade 8 done by the time I was 14 or 15, I think. And I went on then to NUIM to study music. And then it all came to a stop because I got offered a job working with the bank.
Pensionable job.
Good pensionable job. And you wouldn't dream, Mary, of saying no to a job like that. So I naturally enough accepted the job. It was, look, we were in the 80s. It was recessionary times. You absolutely had to, So while I was working away in the bank, I still had another choir, or maybe a second choir going on. Got married then, had kids, had people over to the house to sing, that kind of way. And then I took redundancy from the bank. I got an opportunity and I said, here goes now. I'm going to see if I can make anything of music. And it was great actually to have that backup.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what I would have done if I didn't have. So
gosh, yeah, I know. I mean, when you're part of any form of the creative arts in any way, at least, especially with COVID, you'll always find something to do, whether it's, in your case, go in and play the piano, come up with some other idea. Maybe you get inspiration through something, but you're never not occupied.
Yeah.
Your brain is always going.
It's, as they used to say years ago, it's no load to have.
No.
It'll always be with you. But so then I took my redundancy and I did a mad thing. I bought a set of handbells.
You told me that when I was talking to you one time. Yeah, handbells. Yeah. I thought, oh wow, she really splashed out. I thought it was maybe. Do you ever remember? I saw one time at this concert, and it was a comedy sketch, and he waited the entire time.
Oh yeah.
With his little triangle, and then just to go ding at the end when you said bells, I thought, well, God, she really pushed the boat out.
I really did. I went all the way to Philadelphia for them.
They were very expensive, weren't they?
They were, yeah. They cost about 10,000 euros. Or was it pounds at the time? No, it was euros. So I did. I went to Philadelphia and I brought back my 2 big cases of handbells with me. They're made of brass, so they're very heavy as well.
Yeah.
And I then started to call up some national schools and just see would they like to try out the handbells. So I did several schools in Mayo, Dublin, the Midlands, and we did kind of terms of handbell lessons. Like, it would kind of tick the box for the schools in terms of.
You had a niche industry there. There was nobody going to undercut you in price to teach.
No. No. It was easy enough to get the work. There's no doubt about it. And it was, it's a lovely, campanology is a beautiful, beautiful art as well. And, the thing would say, when you go into a national school, you have children with additional needs, and perfect for them. Perfect. It's all inclusive. Anybody can do it. You can give somebody a really difficult part. You can give somebody a very easy part. And actually, sometimes, Mary, that one ding at the end is the hardest part of the whole thing, because you have to get it on time. You have to not fall asleep in the middle of the piece.
Dumb.
So, so I went from there then. I had full-time work in schools, national and secondary, and I was noticing then more and more that we would do this term and handbells running up to Christmas, and then there would be a Christmas concert, a variety concert, and this would be one act. So but then, like, some of the schools would have choirs there, and they were singing away with no accompaniment, and I was just like, at one stage, I just said, I can do that. I'm here. I have to wait till the end of the night anyway, because they wanted the bells, the high point.
The bells. There's something that says the bells. I'm trying to think what it was. Was it from Quasimodo, or was it?
Oh, it is, I think, actually, yeah.
I'm trying to think.
But So I just said I can do that. So actually, ended up getting more work with choirs and dramas and stuff like that, or musicals. So that brought me on to singing and choirs. And then I was just sitting here one night and I got a phone call from somebody I'd ever met in my life. And they were looking for a director for Castlebar Gospel Choir. And I was, ooh, me? Have you got the right number? So I very, very nervously went into my first rehearsal with them, and I came out and I thought, they're not going to want me back in here again. Even though I was working with choirs, it was completely different to gospel music.
But isn't it funny how some very talented people can be very self-deprecating, and the fact that you, with all your experience, would question that it was you they were really looking for? You know, that you would have such doubts about your own ability.
I would, yeah. Like I would never, even now, I would never say I'm fantastic or I'm flawless at anything. You know, it's great.
Well, it would be a fool who would say that they were. I had a friend in
Yeah.
Castle, and she was a magnificent singer, Annette Alsford. And she used to say to me, you should have been my manager, because I'd be pushing her. And she had as I have never come across anybody who had as little interest in fame and being famous as Annette. She just wanted to sing.
Yeah.
And if she had an eighth of some people's drive to be talented, or not drive to be successful, she would have been a millionaire now. But she just had no interest. She was happy going to work, happy going to the church on a Sunday and singing in the church.
Isn't it?
I used to be pushing her.
But isn't it a great way to be as well, like to not have any expectation from it, and be as good as you can be at it, and not to be under pressure to, because I'm sure, like, I never go on a stage, but I'm sure those people I put on stage are under immense pressure all of the time.
It reminds me of when Robin Williams when Robin Williams was, there was 3 up for I think which award, and there was a tie for a first, and he wasn't one of the ties, but he was brought up on stage to make the speech, and he said, you come here with no expectations, you leave here with no expectations. It's been pretty much a Buddhist evening for me.
And very good.
It's just been pretty much a Buddhist evening.
Good analysis. But so I'm still with, they're now Chapel Street Gospel Choir, and we've had some amazing journeys and times, and as I say, they stuck with me and I stuck with them, and we've made a fantastic choir. And so then, like, from that, I started with another couple of choirs, and one choir in Westport, I did a little bit of time with them, and I remember one of the ladies there, and if she's listening to this now, she'd know exactly who she is too. She said to me, she said, God, wouldn't it be great, she said, if there were no men in the choir at all?
Only girls allowed.
Only girls allowed.
There's actually a magnificent choir, in a Welsh choir. They were on Britain's Got Talent, young lads, 150 of them. And they came out and they were just breathtaking. And I mean, my grandmother is from the Rhondda Valley, and Dad used to love the all-male voice, Welsh voice choir. And this was set up to, and they sang Carrie Nos, but it was set up to try and keep the choirs going, the tradition of the male choir in Wales. And I'm just thinking, why not have an all-women's choir, do you know?
Well, it's like the methodology behind her thinking was, or the thinking behind her methodology, whichever it is, it was kind of like, men slow things down. And it's a kind of a natural thing as well. Like, men just don't learn music as easy as women do.
Don't they?
Women don't bore nails into a wall as easy as men do. That's just the way it goes. No, women, possibly because, the women are made up of sopranos and altos. Sopranos always get the melody line. So it means that the men get the harder lines because they mean nothing, or a lot of the time they don't mean anything. So but anyway, look, I thought about it and I said, yeah, that's what we'll do. So I set up a choir called Vocal Lessons. And we've gone from strength to strength as well. We sing with the orchestra. We do the works, the classical works, and absolutely love it. And actually, just this time last year, actually Valentine's weekend of last year, we had a great laugh about it because that was the weekend we were all available to go that weekend to Rome, and we sang in St. Peter's, and it was just an amazing experience.
Was Francis there?
No, we didn't see him. He was busy that day.
Busy that day.
He was, yeah. He'd like to have been there.
Oh, I can imagine.
So, and that was before COVID became a thing at all. It wasn't even being talked about. And literally, like within a month, we were locked down then. So, and actually, I was to go to Pittsfield in Massachusetts with the gospel choir the day after, on the 13th of Friday, the 12th of March of last year. We were doing a concert in Massachusetts on the 13th, and
that's so disappointing.
Yeah,
I was to go to France this year and last year and lecturing at the Catholic University. I do it every year, and that was cancelled. And I'm going to be on Zoom, okay, but it's not the same.
Never ever going to Zoom will never replace live meetings or choirs or orchestras or anything. Yeah, exactly.
Sitting down and having a meal with somebody, and
oh yeah, it's just being there. So then I also work with a group of men, or have worked with a group of men called the Troubadours. So they're about 13 men, and they're absolutely great fun. Like, we go out and we sing. It's kind of light music we would sing, and I'm there directing. And next thing, the jokes start on the stage, and I'm falling all over the place laughing. So they're really entertaining as well. Who else do I work with? The Mayo Concert Orchestra. I was very lucky to get in there. They were advertising for a conductor about 3-4 years ago now, and actually my predecessor taught me music in school, so I applied for the job, and again was kind of surprised I got it. So that was it. I went to further my studies a little bit in Maynooth, then do a little bit on church music, and I work in churches. I work with a choir in Ballina called Every Voice, a community choir.
That's spelled EVRY.
EV''RY, yeah. And now, Mary, I'm at a stage where I better not leave anybody else. So just give me a second. I work with the local parish choir as well, and they're absolutely amazing. We have 30 people in that choir now, and we have every age from 80 down as far as 16, and they're just beautiful.
Mayo is a beautiful place. It's very barren, and it's very raw, and very much like, I suppose, Clare, Donegal, all those untouched and unspoilt.
It is very much, and very, very cold in winter time. And sometimes very cold in summertime too.
Do you ever get sick of the phrase poor Mayo? Do you know because of all I suppose the emigration that came out of Mayo?
Yeah, and the football as well.
And the football, you
hear that every year.
What is it with Mayo? They're, the whole country cheers them on.
Everybody's rooting for them.
The country is there for them. We're Limerick, and we've been doing well now lately.
Yes.
But you're cheering on Mayo, and you really want anyone to be.
You want it. You don't even want it for you. You want it for them at this stage, and it's just, your heart will be just.
And it's not anything against Dublin. It's just that they're winning. Winning so often, and you're saying to yourself, "Oh, come on, Mayo!" And
and they're so close every time. They're so close. It's just, it's heartbreaking for them.
Maybe they need psychologists brought in, counsellors or sports psychologists.
maybe.
work on their sense of belief.
I think so. I think possibly there's that in it. Like it has become a thing every year now that they get so close, and they probably just don't expect any more than that, even though it would be
I
nice.
think when they come up against somebody like Dublin, and it's the same in dancing. I was asked from the Irish Dancing magazine, what do I think the worst thing a dancer can do when they go on stage? And I said, it's give too much credit to the person that they're up with, or say to themselves, well, I can't beat her because she's won the world 4 times. Everyone has an off day, and you can intimidate somebody by coming across as being, wow, she's actually, or he's actually performing really well today. Never saw him performing that well today. So, you know, and I think people do, they come out and they see the team in front of them and they think Kilkenny can't be beaten. We'd like to think Limerick can't be beaten. And so on. But of course, everyone can be beaten.
Well, it's you know, it's like if you're, as you say, if you're really afraid of something, what are the chances you're never going to overcome it? You know, you have to overcome your fear. And of course, Dublin are just monster in comparison to everybody else in the country. You know, they're just that big wall of strength, aren't they?
They are. They're all playing more or less professionally. They're playing together all the time, which is different from every other team that has their working 9 to 5 every day and trying to fit in their training as well. You know, you can't expect the same results from people who are part-time as you do from people who are full-time at it. But getting back to, how did you come up with the concept of Fáinne Or?
Fáinne Or, very accidentally. I, in my wildest dreams, I had no intention of ever composing a work, never. Anyway, I was directing a charity concert up close by where I live in Ballinafad College. It's being done up at the moment by an Australian guy who bought it. Was derelict, and he has done an amazing job on it. And the local community wanted to raise funds for, I think, a playground at the time. And I was asked if I would, get a few groups of people together and put on a concert. So I did. I had the orchestra there. I had Work Beats is another choir I work with, their HSE staff. Anyway, I had basically the guts of a whole concert, and the concert was attended by a man called Mary Honan, who he was involved in the Mayo Foundation in New York, and he is now a diaspora engagement specialist. I didn't know Mike at the time, and he was at the concert because he had attended school in that building in his heyday. So I got a message on LinkedIn from Mike, and no more than your own message, Mary, it was sitting there a while before I saw it. I'm not very good at LinkedIn, and
not on it that often either.
Yeah, it's not as straightforward as other social media platforms. But so Mike asked if I would contact him, gave me his number, and I did. And he just explained to me he was involved with a couple of dancers, and they were looking to bring a show to New York, but they needed music. They needed original music.
Yeah.
So I jumped at it. And again, Mary, it was another, what, me? So Mike, I suppose, was probably pretty impressed by the way I was working that day. And so I did. I met Mike in Dublin with the two ladies, and they put their idea across to me, and I started composing some music. So I'd say about a month later, the whole thing fell apart. It just wasn't going to happen. Something happened with one of the choreographers, and she couldn't see it through. And so I was talking to Mike in the background, and I said, gee, Mike, it's such a pity, I have this music composed now, and I think I had 2 pieces done, and I was starting on a 3rd one at the time. And we talked it back and forth, and Mike said, I'll tell you what, he said, if you have a good story that goes with that music, he said, I'm going to help you bring this to America. So
That's a great opportunity.
absolutely, absolutely. I just thought I absolutely couldn't pass that up because I was never going to get this opportunity in my life again. So I went home that night, and Mary, I sat up until I think about 2 a.m. and I just made up this story. And I jotted it down. I was always quite good at essays in school, very imaginative. The creative side of me used to come out, and very airy fairy and romantic and all the rest. So I wrote my little story and I sent it off to Mike, and Mike rang me, and there was nothing on the other end of the phone. And again, I thought, Mary, I keep coming back to your he doesn't like it. Again, a lack of belief, and there was silence, and then I said, did you get the
Need to
story?
work on that.
Hmm.
Although maybe people find that actually endearing as well, though.
I found that in America that everybody thought that my shyness was gorgeous.
Yeah,
And I hate
yeah.
my shyness.
I
I
think
should be able
so. I
to
think so.
push myself a bit forward more so. But so Mike just said, I love that story. He said, it's an amazing story. And he said, yes, we're going to do it. So I had my story on the piano, and I had my doors closed, and I was locked into a room, and I started composing. And that is how it came about. So I composed it for orchestra. I work with Mayo Concert Orchestra. At the moment, I'm their conductor. And God love them. Like I put them through hell because I would bring in these pieces of music to them, and it was like no music they'd ever done before. And but they pulled out all the stops. We worked all through one summer. They normally don't work through summer. We worked through summer, and they got the music done. And so I've been working then with Kira Sexton, was the choreographer at the time as well, and introduced to me by Mike Hannon. Kira has been a lead in Riverdance.
Yeah,
Part of the dance.
I know
Kira. You know Kira, yeah.
I know.
So we had our premiere in the TF Royal Theatre. Got great help from Pat Jennings there, to a sold out theatre. I think there were approximately 2,000 people at our premiere. The following week we went to Broadway, and we had a sold out theatre there, Symphony Space in Broadway. We came back and we did Limerick, back into the TF again, and we still had a half a theatre the second time we went to Limerick, or to Castlebar. And then we went to Dublin, to the Olympia Theatre, and then COVID happened, and that was the end of that. So, but it's funny how it happened. It has given me an opportunity to restructure the whole thing, because I was traveling around with a cast of 65 people.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not going to be feasible long term. So I was talking to.
You had to. Sorry for interrupting. You had done some concerts in America.
I had traveled to America before with the gospel choir.
Yeah.
So we had done some work there with the Harlem Gospel Choir.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Amazing. I love gospel music.
It's
very
different, and it's you can have upbeat pop gospel, or you can have the real spiritual gospel, and that's just amazing music.
It is. I love the upbeat, but when you look at the likes of Whitney Houston and that, and how they came out of the gospel, and you look at the likes of Elvis Presley, who was so inspired by gospel music.
Yeah,
you didn't see Elvis, you would think he was black. A black a gospel singer.
So
until you actually saw him, and because he had that real spiritual.
Yeah, that's very strong. Yeah, black people are blessed with their voices and their sense of rhythm. Just amazing.
Their passion just amazing. For spiritual music.
Yeah, and I'm actually we've done workshops and concerts with fabulous choir in Philadelphia called Sounds of Joy, and they're just like that. Just every one of them super duper singers.
There's a choir here in Limerick called the Eliki Gospel Choir. They're in. I interviewed the leader of it there one time. They're out in the University of Limerick, and they're all African.
Oh yes, I know them. Yes,
very good.
Yeah, fantastic. So anyway, look, COVID happened, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, David Agnew. David is
Yeah,
an oboist with
Gabriel's
RT
over.
Concert Orchestra. So we were chatting. David had come to see Fáinne or in the Olympia, and I said, David, I want some feedback. Would you just give me your musical feedback on this now, and whatever experience you have, just
Brave
throw
thing
it
to
at
ask
me.
David Agnew.
Yeah. So,
Because that could go anyway. Do you know,
sorry.
that could have gone anyway. He could have said, look, you need to go back to the drawing board. What would you have done if he had said, you need to go back to the drawing board and start?
Well, Mary, he didn't not say that. No, he said it was lovely, and he loved the story and aspects of the music he loved, and the choreography. So, but with we had a chat about it, and he gave me his honest feedback, and there were things that I needed to fix about it, obviously. And he just in passing, in very passing, kind of under his breath, he says, I'd love to be on a production team on your. That is the rock he's perishing on now, Mary.
But his daughter, Chloe Agnew, I mean, she comes from such I suppose, a dynasty when you think about David Agnew as, I mean, there's nobody, I don't think there's anybody who plays Gabriel Zobo like David Agnew.
And he's just super.
He's just, he is the equivalent,
you just cry,
I believe, of James Galway on the flute, and Yitzhak Perlman on the violin. I mean, if you had the three of them together, I think you'd be just,
you'd be very lucky. You'd be very lucky. That's what you'd be.
The three of them together. But then you have Chloe Agnew, who has a fabulous and absolutely heavenly voice.
She's a great voice, and she's, as well as that, she's a beautiful person. She just has everything. She has the whole package. It's not just her voice; it's everything. So anyway, David, as I said, that's the rock he perished on, because I took him up on that. And David is co-producing with me. So we've decided, because of COVID, like we had to shorten everything. It was a 2-hour show. So I have edited the music down to 70 minutes. We now have 9 dancers. We had 15, but we now have 9. We have a 6-piece band. The band, literally, as I said, you have one keyboard that plays piano, you have another keyboard that plays everything else. We have a percussionist, and then we have 3 multi-instrumentalists as well, so they'll be dropping instruments and picking up instruments all through the show. We have Chloe's singing the song. The song is called Across the Miles. Keep an eye out for it. It's a beautiful song. I composed the music. David and Chloe created the lyrics for it. And then the icing on the cake is Sean Kane. Sean, the Irish folk singer.
I was listening to his narration of the little bit.
Yeah, isn't he just
like, it's so. I mean,
solemn.
My background is, I'm a speech and drama teacher, and with I did mine. I'm an associate of the Victoria College in London, and when you listen to him, you can. There's nothing manufactured in his voice or in his performance.
Pure natural.
It's pure natural, and it's pure Irish and pure of the time.
Yeah.
It evokes everything, really. It evokes isolation and forced migration, and
it's just, he's so sincere and so genuine, and even though the story is fictitious, everybody's going to believe every word he's saying anyway, because of his storytelling technique. Or
he's a great.
He's just super, and
he could read the
telephone book,
the golden pages. Do you remember the golden pages?
Exactly,
the golden pages for you, and you'd sit and listen to it.
Absolutely. And David Agnew actually only said that last week as well. Sean, read the phone book and he'd sound great. So, so Ciara then is our choreographer.
Yeah, Ciara's lovely.
Again, she's just amazing. She's just so articulate, and so just, adaptable. She'd just do anything you want her to do,
But that's the thing that, I mean, I suppose I'm going to take the side of dancers now when I say this. I mean, I think dancers really are great, Irish dancers, because at the very last minute things can change, and and we are very good at adapting.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're often before a performance changing at the side of the stage, and everyone's helping you fix your hair. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I was telling you at one time that I was at the side of the stage, and there was a comedian, Noel Viginnerty, he's a very famous comedian here in Ireland. He was around the same era as Hal Roach, younger, but around the same era. And he was a former hairdresser, and he'd be there and he'd be fixing your hair at the side of the stage, putting it all up, zipping you up, tying your shoelaces, and you'd be trying to change the other shoe, and then you'd have to walk out on stage as if nothing even happened.
Absolutely. The performance starts there.
Dancers are so malleable. I think performers in general are malleable. You have to learn things at the last minute and change things over at the very last minute, and you have to fake it till you make it on stage.
That's the truth. That is the truth. And more than that, like, I have seen the dancers for Fáinne, or like 1 second they're backstage and they are ironing their costume, and the next second they're gone, they're on the stage, so they're very flexible. And Ciara is she's a great manager, and as I say, very easy to work with as well. She just lights up the stage herself when she comes on, as you know.
Yeah, she's great.
So then what else have we got? That's pretty much it. So the storyline is typical romantic story. Well, there's a lot of loss and grief and all of that, as you can imagine, around the famine. And then the Fáinne Or is actually Saoirse. Saoirse is the eldest daughter, Saoirse's mother's golden wedding ring. And it happens that when her mother dies, the father has no option but to sell the ring so that Saoirse can immigrate to send money home. See, now I can see you believe this already, Mary.
I'm just a sucker for a sad story. I'm there thinking, what's happening in the ring? What's happening in the ring? All my mother and father's jewellery were stolen from my house, and as an only child, I was just distraught because they actually came in 1 o'clock in the day, stole everything.
Wow.
And I went to the Gardaí. I had a suspicion who it was because I was told who it was, and I went to the house, and the guards were telling me, don't go up, don't go. And I went, but within 2 days I got the jewellery back.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Now, I never got my father's, but when I hear about this Fáinne going missing, the Fáinne Or going missing, all I'm thinking of is, what happened to Fáinne?
It's so he sells the ring, and Saoirse goes off about her way to New York, reluctantly, and it's a very emotional journey in so many ways. And she arrives there, and she meets a boy there, but she's having none of it because she has a boy at home, Dermot. So anyway, look, news filters. Her father dies back home, and she obviously doesn't receive the news for weeks afterwards. And all I'll say is there's a happy ending then.
Excellent.
And yes, the ring does turn up again.
Excellent. Just so what's the word I'm looking for here? Just
feel good.
Yeah, I'm always looking for feel good. I won't watch Titanic ever again because I know the ending of it, and I got this awful sinking feeling at the end of it, and I have no interest in watching it. I would watch Gone with the Wind again because I just thought, who could end a movie with fiddle-dee-dee? I'll think about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just after he says, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I just thought, that's not the place I want this to end.
No.
I'm just a complete and utter romantic
Mary, there could be a future for you in filmmaking.
Making all the happy endings,
Yes,
changing all the
exactly.
endings to movies. Oh,
Exactly.
I can't stand sad endings. I just can't. I mean, I just think they could have rewritten
No,
it.
it kind of just leaves you hanging, doesn't it?
Oh,
You just want, there's no closure.
there's no closure. I hate
Mm.
that's a real, I mean, an American phrase that you hear all the time.
Yes.
Closure. I want closure,
Yeah.
but there is no closure.
No, no,
Because you
no,
can
no.
imagine all sorts of. You wait 3 hours to see the two of them, herself and Rhett Butler, get together, and then he walks out and says, "Frankly, I don't give a damn."
Think of him.
Speak of him, you know.
That's funny.
But come here, tell me, how do you get the time? No, I'm asking you this question, and I know as somebody who's been in all forms of the arts, whether it's literally art or literature or
Mm.
dance or drama or show business or anything like that. I understand, and I'm asking the question still, where do you actually subdivide all your time to do all of this? You must be incredibly good at at decompartmentalizing all your life.
Mm.
Where does your
Yeah,
family
juggling,
fit in
Mary, is a
around
better
all
word
of
for
that?
it. I used to be very good at it. I don't know how I'm going to be after lockdown, after restrictions are lifted, because it's just there's no structure to my day now. But yeah, I would like. My mother lives with us as well here now, so I keep an eye on her,
That's
and
fabulous.
I'm cooking my dinner and photocopying music at the same time, and I go out in the evening then, and do you know what, Mary? Like I
I'm all
leave
over the place.
probably about five. Well, I know I do a little bit more than that now. I just prepare my music as well, and I have to look over it because I couldn't possibly go into a class and not know the music because they know straight away that I didn't know it. So but look, I leave home around 5 o'clock every evening, and you know what? It's like I can breathe. It's not like work. So it's a double whammy when you get paid for it. It's great. So and I do, and like I get on so well with everybody I work with, and I love them all because they're like family to me, most of them, and they go along with everything I ask them to do. Like, I mean, I have thrown sun clangers at them,
Imagine.
will we go to America in 6 months? All right, we will. you know,
Now, what
there's
they
just
say, all right, we will.
yeah, yeah.
And what do you do then? Go about the process of fundraising? Or does
Um,
it pay for themselves?
Yeah, we'd sing a few concerts and we'd do a few little behind closed doors fundraisers, like bring and buy and all that kind of stuff. And people would pay themselves as well, and we might have some funds in the bank accounts as well. So usually we don't end up paying a whole lot for it, but everybody does pay something towards it. So no, and I don't get home until probably maybe 11, half 11 most nights. But as I say, it's not like work. I enjoy it so much.
But then you're up at early 5:30 for sometimes. Did you say 5?
No, no, I did not say that, Mary.
Oh no, that was my previous guest.
That's somebody else.
5:30 to do Zoom meetings in Australia. I said, "Oh, I just couldn't cope with that now. I'd
No,
have
no,
to say to them, 12 o'clock at night I'll do, which will be probably 12 in the morning for them,
yeah, I'd
or
be the same.
so on. I'll take the night shift.
Exactly, same as that. I could be up until 2 or 3 sometimes on to people in America. But yeah, so that's my day. I would be very organized during the day. I have my cleaning done and my dinners ready to go and stuff like that. Um, yeah,
Are you the
and
type
it's
of person that cooks your dinners for the week and
no,
then freezes them all, and
no,
and all your dinners are that organized?
not
Because
at all, Mary. My family are far too fussy for that.
yeah,
They wouldn't.
I
No,
just
no, no.
when I hear people saying, "Oh, I every Sunday I cook the dinner for the week, and I put it all into plates and have it all ready, and then covered in tin foil and into the deep freeze," and I feel so ashamed of myself. I think, oh my God, I'm living on my own and I don't even cook.
Well, I think it's down to personal taste, really. Like you either like to work really, 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 really hard for one day and then do nothing for 6 days, or do a little bit every day, which is the way I like to do it. So
I
I
don't
mean,
like to do
on
any,
cooking.
I don't like to do anything any day.
Well, I'm only pretending as well. But
I'd rather
not
be
at
doing a
all.
show. I'd rather be doing a show and chatting to people, or putting
Why wouldn't you?
putting a show
Why wouldn't
together.
you?
I couldn't. Yeah,
Um,
no. But how
no,
does
and
your
like,
husband cope with all of this? I
pardon,
mean,
Mary?
what does your husband do? Is he a creative person as well?
Not even remotely. He's like
Probably.
he's
Well,
if he's at a show, and particularly a gospel choir show, and where the audience join in clapping, I can hear my husband's clap because it's not in time with anybody else's. But he is so very, very supportive.
I know you so well. I know you by the sound of your clap.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the kids start moving away from him.
He's so deaf.
Completely,
That,
completely.
that's
And he's the
tragic
loudest.
in a family of musicians.
No, he's the loudest singer in the house. Nobody else will sing for us here. But and he's very supportive. He's at every single concert I do. He sometimes is in the front row, sometimes he's in the back row, but he's always there. And if there's anything to be brought in or taken home, like heavy gear, he always does it. He'll bring home the flowers for me. He's great little man.
Isn't
Like
that lovely?
no, he's very supportive. I couldn't do it
What's
if
his
I
name?
didn't have good support. Liam.
Liam. Everyone needs a Liam.
Everyone needs a Liam, yeah. Sometimes, Mary, God, sometimes. So I wouldn't want him to hear this and get a big head.
Because it's not easy. I have a friend now, an Irish dancing teacher, Maureen Farrelly, and her husband Andy, they're from Cork. Her husband Andy, no involvement at all in Irish dancing, never had, except for the fact that Maureen and her two sisters and her children were dancers. Her daughters is in the shows. I think she's in Lord of the Dance at the moment now. But the thing about it is, he went everywhere with her. He'd help her with everything, and he'd go to a competition. He could be all day there chatting to somebody about hurling, who he hadn't met before. He actually set up talking to them. He doesn't drink. He doesn't.
Yeah,
smoke.
he sounds a bit like Liam.
He just fits in with everybody. And my dad was like that. He would settle in with everyone. You could just let him, and as long as he could watch a gardening program or
Wildlife. Yeah.
wildlife or a gardening program or something like that, he was happy as Larry.
Yeah, he sounds exactly the same as Liam Fahey now. So
I still haven't found anyone like that.
I'll lend him to you if you want.
If I find a Liam Fahey, could you loan him?
I definitely will. I wouldn't even take money for him.
Rent him out. Liam, if he's listening to this, we're sorry. I'm only joking.
He won't mind. He's used to it. So
where to from here now?
Pardon me?
Where to from here?
Where to from here? So our first restructured show is to be recorded on the 26th of March, and we have a funded going at the moment, and actually tomorrow at 1:00 it finishes. So if anybody would like to buy a broadcast, you can do it through our Facebook. It's on my Facebook, it's on David Agnew's, it's on Fáinne or Facebook page, and you'll get exclusive viewing of that. So that'll be mid-April then by the time people get that. So we have great plans for touring. Like we're just waiting for Ireland to open up. We can't tour in Ireland, or we can't go outside of Ireland at the moment. So the second things are opened up, we're ready to go.
You'll have your bags ready and everything under your arms, and just announce, and you won't see you for a breeze.
If only it was that romantic, Mary. But yeah, like we were planning America definitely next year. We'll probably do the UK and some European countries as well. Of course, we definitely want to tour Ireland. It's all going to depend on how the restrictions are lifted. You know, I don't know. Will we ever see a theatre again where you can pack people in? I don't know. It's hard to know.
I think it will. I'm
Mary.
forever an optimist. I think it'll get back to
Mm,
normal.
I hope so.
I
I hope
think
so.
I think the drive to bring it back to normal will bring it back from people, because
Yeah.
people are just have had enough now.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's time for us to start shouting because it's the
I
one
do think
that
it's long time for people to start speaking up, because you just
Mhm,
can't keep taking, you just
yeah.
can't keep doing things like good children.
Yeah, well, it's like definitely for the arts, I would think those who shout get heard. So maybe we should be talking about it ourselves and trying to get something in place. I don't know.
I think the arts has been treated for too long as being just, oh, they can go and learn
Pastime.
something else. It's a hobby.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
sure, she's a lovely singer, and he's a lovely, sure, he's a great dancer,
Oh,
and
look, sure,
and
I know.
isn't he fabulous? He'll play a tune for you on the piano, or as my mother used to say, when people used to say, "Will you draw that? Will you draw?" I used to do Japanese art, and will you draw something for me? How much will you charge? And before I'd even open my mouth, my mother would have said, "Oh, for God's sake, don't be so stupid." She loves to draw.
That's great.
She wouldn't even dream of charge.
Brilliant.
I never developed a sense of ability to charge, because I never knew what it was like to charge. Everything I ever did was as a present. Oh,
Yeah.
it's keeping her busy. That's what used to get to me. It's keeping her
Keep
busy.
her off the streets.
Keeping her. I couldn't be any busier than I was. And but she's down. She'll spend 4 months now doing that for you, and that keep her
Oh
up.
my goodness, yeah, it is. And I'd be a bit like that myself. Somebody might ask me to accompany them for a funeral or a wedding, and just because I know them, it's really, really hard to say, well, my fee
Charge
is.
people.
No, it's so hard. But the other thing, Mary, is that people shouldn't take advantage of that either, because you don't go into the shop and the
No, but they
shopkeeper
never
doesn't say,
got
well, I
a
like being here.
I don't think they ever got a chance to actually say, or say, Mary, all they do was, how much is that going to cost?
Yeah.
Nothing. She's not going to charge it. She loves doing it. It's keeping her occupied. So, it's just,
Oh, that's gas.
well, come here to me. Have you thought of everyone that you need to thank, or you need to mention?
I really, 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 really need to thank my good friends, my family, my neighbors, my all my choirs. I
Your
shouldn't call
pet,
them.
your
They're
pet.
not my choirs. The choirs I work with, orchestra. They have all supported me on my journey, and this I suppose is a journey because it's gone from bells to now orchestra and dance shows even, which I never dreamt I would be doing. But I really need to thank them from the bottom of my heart, financially, particularly, because even now for this broadcast is costing an arm and a leg because there's no possibility of getting any money from an audience or anything like that. So we have to raise about 20,000 euros is what it's costing, and I've had people just call to the door with checks without being asked.
Isn't that fantastic?
It's unreal. It's just I don't know if I'd even think of doing that myself. People are just amazing. So I wish to thank everybody, as I said, my colleagues, the people I work with every
And
night.
that's not easy for people to do, Kathy, in this
No,
climate when
no,
money is so scarce anyway. To be thinking
absolutely.
of giving Kathy Fahey for her choir
Mhm.
this money or that money when you have such little for yourself.
Absolutely. And I have some really very good friends. I know for Fáinne or first time round, it was a week before we went to America and I was still short money. And I have some excellent friends and family who just came and said, here it is, you know, um, just Amazing. So apart from that, like, obviously thank David and Kira and the musical director now, Dave McGowan
And Chloe.
and Chloe, and thank you, Mary. And I don't know, everybody, like, I don't have any enemies, and everybody I know has been very supportive of me, which I find really amazing. I'm back again to the who me bit, like, why me even, and it's just lovely. It's really
Because
lovely.
it's pretty obvious to me, it's because you're utterly driven. You're incredibly passionate, and astonishingly talented.
Well, thank you, Mary. I don't see that myself, but thank you. I suppose I must have something to have been able to get this far with it. But at the end of the day, I'm just ordinary old me, and I do my own shopping, and I do my own cleaning, and I give out all the time to the kids and all that kind
Like
of.
the Prime Minister of Germany, Angela Merkel, she does her own shopping.
Dead right too. Dead right.
She does her own
Absolutely.
shopping. So it's one thing you have in common with Angela Merkel, your own shopping.
Probably the only thing, Mary, I'd say.
Listen, thank you so very much.
Lovely.
It's
Thank
been
you.
an absolute joy talking
Oh,
to you.
so lovely to talk to you too, Mary. And thank you so much. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to plug as well, and to thank people apart from the obvious interviews.
My pleasure, and I wish you continued success, and I wish lots of luck as well to the Mayo hurling, the Mayo teams, all of the
Absolutely.
teams,
Absolutely.
except of course when they're playing Limerick.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll go for that.
Go for that.
Mary, thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Sin dara leis an clár, that's the end of the show. Until the next time, le cúnamh dé, ba bhfuilm tú go léir tí a cána sonas agus grá agus go dté sibh slán.